Dear students, good morning. Welcome to Law Excellence IAS. Let us start the discussion on today's newspaper, that is 10th August 2020. The first article for discussion is A New Direction for India US Ties. This article by Subramanya Swamy is an expression of his opinion, and you need to take this article with a lot of care and caution. You also need to know that Mr. Swamy is not an expert in foreign affairs. In this context, Mr. Swamy explores this article historically. Why am I interested in this article? Because Swamy has clearly stated a fresh paradigm should be on how to restructure common understanding. So, my word here is common understanding. So, the common understanding which India and USA had before has to change. The relationship has to start on a new common understanding on political, economic, and other important matters. That's what Mr. Swamy is highlighting over here. Historically, if we see, India USA relations are marred with mistrust. USA supported Pakistan and made it part of SEATO and CENTO. SEATO stands for Southeast Asian Treaty Organization, CENTO Central Treaty Organization. And India became close with USSR. These were in the midst of Cold War politics. And initially, China, the communist China, was never close to USA. But the things have changed during Deng Xiaoping era. Mr. Nixon was the President United States of America. Deng has opened China for market reforms, and this has made USA and China to reapproach each other. And then India and USA's common understanding is based on democracy, a strong foundation for democracy and people to people relations. Today it has to change in the changing geopolitics. The Cold War mindset is no more going to be useful, and we are more or less coming into a multilateral world. So, bilateral world to we are shifting to a multilateral world or multipolar world. In this context, the common understanding, foundations of common understanding, has to change between these two countries. Here, author talks about certain points. India USA relations shall be founded on give and take philosophy. Previously, the relationships are more like developing and developed country. Now, they have to engage each other as equals, and India has to give itself certain defense cooperation to US, and US also has to consider India in its strategic affairs. Next, for example, USA needs India to fight her enemies in the neighborhood. If we see why USA is still dependent on Pakistan, because of its war on terror in Afghanistan. USA expects India to send troops to Afghanistan. During attack on Afghanistan during Vajpayee era, he has offered assistance to United States, a non-specifically told word. Now, India has to come bold and support United States efforts in Afghanistan. That is what Swamy is saying. And second, Andaman Nicobar Islands, which have got strategic presence, these have to be used for developing naval and air bases, which can be used by India, US, and other allies of United States of America like Philippines, Indonesia, etc. In a nutshell, he wants to bring in military alliance between USA and India. Next, economic relations have to be more based on economic principles, commercial principles. That's what he says. Both the import and export duties have to be reduced, and trade has to improve between the countries. USA has to liberally transfer technology from its side. For example, enrichment of thorium, desalination of ocean water. Here, India needs a lot of effort. USA also can take up the Indian exports liberally. These are the various steps which Mr. Swamy is proposing. If these steps are implemented, India will get into strong military alliance with the United States of America. Probably it will create new repercussions with old friends of India. You have seen that India and Iran were very close friends before. Once India tried to rebalance its relations, Iran has turned hostile to India now. The second part is India always was proud on its strategic autonomy. So if India enters into such a close alliance with United States of America, its strategic autonomy is expected to be diluted. Third, India can never expect United States of America's support on its continental wars. USA is not interested in wars of Asia. That's what it proves with its actions of withdrawing from Afghanistan. These points need to be kept in mind while reading this article. The next article for discussion is about nuclear risks, that is, bringing nuclear risks back into popular imagination. You know that 75 years back in this month, a bomb, that is, Little Boy and Fat Man, were dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, respectively. So, in this context, are we free from nuclear dangers now? This is what is the question author is trying to pose. Previously, I think on 7th of August, an article has come up in the newspaper which says that we are under an illusion of security due to deterrence theory and mutually assured destruction. These can go wrong. That is what is the warning given into that particular article. Now, author extends the same warning further, and she says that there is lot of public apathy and political complacency to deal with nuclear dangers the world is facing. Now, during the Cold War era, there was a great deal of attention, care, and education to nuclear risks, weapons, and warfare. It led to huge public pressure on political leadership, and today that is what is missing. There are no nuclear war drills, no education to the children on nuclear warfare and the care that has to be taken up. In this case, the world is complacent, believing in deterrence theory, and they took it for granted that there can be no nuclear war. But however, the dangers of unintended nuclear weapons use is rising due to miscalculations and misinterpretations. Now, how the dangers of unintended use are growing. One is there are arguments the military leadership is making in favor of limited nuclear war. Many a times Pakistan says a limited nuclear war may be a possibility with India. Second, cyber attacks on nuclear command and controls of various countries are increasing. Third, conventional and nuclear weapons delivery systems, these are both becoming one and the same. Previously, nuclear weapon delivery systems, missiles, etc., were separate from conventional arms. When they become one and the same, there is a chance that they may fall into terrorist organizations or rogue nations. Next, hypersonic missiles, etc., made it possible to deliver the nuclear weapons anywhere in the world. And artificial intelligence today is used in nuclear decision making. When human intelligence and human emotion is kept aside, obviously the things can go wrong. That is what author is emphasizing. Please read it along with the 7th August news article so that you can get some understanding of this. The next article is safety deficit. This article talks about Kozhikode Air accident. You know that Kozhikode Airport is a tabletop airport, and these airports are proving dangerous for air operations. Previous incidents also have proven this. For example, Mangalore air accident in 2010. Overshooting, monsoons, tail and headwinds can play a spoil sport on tabletop airports. So the author, our editorial emphasizes that there can be no compromise, there shall be no compromise on airport infrastructure. That's what the article talks about. The next article is balancing priorities. It is written in the context of landslides in Idukki in Kerala. The article emphasizes that developmental goals and environmental protection shall go hand in hand. If not, it can lead to many of the disasters that could have been avoided. So, we also need to understand why the landslides are increasing in India. You know that a new climate normal has come in India due to climate change. There are increased cloud bursts. Because of this, These areas are becoming more vulnerable. There is also soil erosion due to unscientific cutting of slopes and quarrying. Added to that, there are no draining water facilities on these hilly slopes. So, human activity also has become intense. There is improper zoning, and even the zoning norms which are being created are not being followed. You know that national landslide susceptibility mapping was done in India. As per that, the susceptible areas have to zone various activities. In this case, this zoning is not done properly, and whatever the minimal is done is not being followed. So, in this case, planning, regional planning is very much important. So, remember again, developmental goals and environmental protection shall always go in hand. The next article is elusive search for truth. Here you need to understand three important words, that is social media, alternative facts, post truth world. So what are alternative facts? So whenever an information is being misused or tweaked or manipulated, that is being considered as truth, especially in elections, and also after that the lies are being made to be believed as truths. This is what we call it as post truth world. So what author is trying to say is, today the reader is susceptible for these unproven facts in the post truth world. So many people trust social media messages which are being forwarded on WhatsApp, etc., than the evidence based, data driven journalism. So it has given rise to these alternative facts in the post truth world. The rise of Trump in the United States of America or rise of certain political parties in India can be attributed to this misinformation and manipulation through social media. The next is US Health Secretary visits Taiwan, angering China. You know that Alex Azar, the US Health Secretary, made an official visit to Taiwan. The stated purpose is to know the steps taken to fight COVID 19. Remember, there are very few cases and deaths in Taiwan in spite of being close to China. But however, we have to see it from a strategic point. The China considers Taiwan as a part of it. It has one China policy including Taiwan. Trump government has increased military assistance to Taiwan. It even sold F-16 jets to Taiwan. President Tsai Ing-wen, she demands that Taiwan to be recognized as a sovereign nation. Obviously, there is conflict between China's stand, Taiwan's stand, and USA wants to create irritant to China in this particular region by supporting Taiwan militarily. So this is what we have to understand. The next article is about Indus Water Treaty Rattle Dam project. So in this, Pakistan expresses concerns over India's run over the river dam, or run of the river dam they are also called as. What is the speciality of these dams? We take the water from that particular dam and we again you release the water into the downstream. It means that we produce electricity by releasing the water from that particular dam, and then we again ensure that water gets back into the flow. It means we are not using that water for consumption over here, and we are just using the energy coming out of the flow to generate hydroelectric potential. These are called run of the river dams. The Rattle Dam on Chenab River is one such a run of the river dam. So, Pakistan wants to have permanent court of arbitration, to settle this particular matter. Once the matter goes to permanent court of arbitration, it is expected to be delayed. In this context, we need to know a bit about Indus Water Treaty. It was signed in 1960, and Mr. Ayub Khan and Mr. Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru both have signed this treaty. It was mediated by World Bank. So, as per this treaty, eastern tributaries came to India. These are Ravi, Beas, Sutlej. Western tributaries went to Pakistan. Almost two-thirds water went to Pakistan, one-third came to India. What are the western tributaries? CJI, that is Chenab, Jhelum, and Indus. And there is a dispute resolution mechanism is also kept. One is permanent Indus Commission. A commissioner has to be nominated into this commission from both the sides. These people have to oversee the implementation of treaty and also has to resolve any kind of disputes. If the dispute is not settled at the level of the permanent Indus Commission, then it can go to neutral expert or to permanent court of arbitration. So various disputes, especially on Indus water, we have to see over here. One is Salal Dam. It was on Chenab River. It was completed after mutual agreement between India and Pakistan. And Tulbul project on Wular Lake on Jhelum River, it is still pending. Next is Baglihar on Chenab and Kishan Ganga projects on Jhelum. These were cleared. And Ratil hydroelectric project on Chenab, it is still pending and we have just studied about it. You also know that after Uri attacks, Prime Minister Modi said water and blood could not flow together. So he stated that the hydroelectric potential of all the rivers will be effectively used by India. That is what is the statement made by the Prime Minister Modi. Please recollect that once. The next is Andaman and Nicobar will be a maritime hub. Prime Minister Modi has inaugurated a submarine optical fiber cable. It is developed under Universal Obligation Fund. You know that this fund is established by the money which is contributed by the mobile operators for not providing services in the rural areas. This is called Universal Services Obligation Fund. So this connectivity is expected to improve communications with Andaman and Nicobar Islands. Prime Minister also promised to make this particular union territory a marine hub for blue economy. Remember, blue economy means a water-based economy. It is aquaculture and other things together we call blue economy. Next, LAC complicates Indian options. Remember, these are opinions of different experts on India-US relations, India-China relations. Shiv Shankar Menon, he was the former NSA. What he says is the threat from China is pushing India into close ties with United States of America. But he also states that it is unlikely to yield a military alliance. USA is not expected to involve in continental wars here. And Pratap Banu Mehta, he says that India's common boundary with China and continental challenge complicates the matter. And former US ambassador to India, Mr. Ashley Tellis, says that and India USA would not seek an alliance unless both sides are committed to collective defense of each other in both continental and maritime spheres. So, unless you are committed to a collective defense, don't go together towards an alliance. That is what Ashley Tellis tells to both countries. The next article, it is Shashi Tharoor's interview on leadership crisis in Congress. What he says is, electing a leader through open election in Congress brings greater legitimacy to the leader and also ensures new life into the political party. In India, lack of internal democracy in the political parties is a big problem. That is what I want to highlight here. Next is PM launches Farm Infra Scheme. Prime Minister Modi launched 1 lakh crore agricultural infrastructure fund. It is meant to set up storage processing plants to add value to our agricultural production. Next is Defense Ministry wants to develop indigenous military industrial complex. The articles are related to this. So Defense Ministry has imposed an import embargo on 101 items to boost indigenous military defense complex. So it is progressively implemented between 2020-24. It cannot be implemented from tomorrow. Progressively, we have to decrease our dependence on imports of military equipment. So we have to develop industrial complexes, research abilities, human resources, etc. If we start doing it today, we can move further upwards. Next is Ministry of Defense, in line with this, also bifurcated the capital procurement budget as domestic and foreign capital procurement routes. It means 52,000 crore rupees is kept aside for procurement through domestic route. It means they are going to clearly monitor how much we are procuring from domestic sources, how much from the foreign sources. It also has decided that no foreign country will be allowed to bid for government contracts if they are more than 200 crore rupees. I am a bit skeptical about this particular point. Let us wait and see any correction comes from Hindu. Finally, thank you very much and have a great day.